seeing literally like pretty much every single international criminal law get broken within the span of a year, this day is like a really haunting reminder of sort of when that stuff started.
They can't give us a day. I mean, today's a very hard day for the Jewish community. We're mourning right now, and despite the war, despite everything that's happening, like, it's a hard day, right?
It's not right for any kid to lose their lives, but why is it okay for them to take ours?
There's still 120 in Gaza. Innocent Israelis woke up
being killed
in the
by
morning.
Israeli government, by the way. They're bombing their own hostages. Free Palestine!
Sure. Anyways.
All right, well, it is October 7th, 2024, exactly 1 year since the deadly terror attack that took place in Israel that resulted in 1,200 dead Israeli civilians and 200 hostages taken. Since then, a full year of war has raged in that region, resulting in tens of thousands of civilian lives lost. Certainly a very solemn day and a very sad day for many people. Today, behind me, however, on this first anniversary, the student group Students for Justice in Palestine at Toronto Metropolitan University, Ryerson University, for people who have not been attacked by the woke mind virus just yet. Well, today is a vigil for Palestinian martyrs taking place. It's part of a week-long campaign by the students at TMU and students at the University of Toronto over what they call the Week of Rage. But it doesn't appear to be a week of rage on behalf of all civilian lives lost. It happens to be a week of rage specifically for the Palestinian lives lost. As they say on Instagram, 1 year of genocide and the world will continue to hear us. They will continue to hear our cries and our screams of rage. They will continue to call for Palestinian liberation and for this institution to end its complicity in the Zionist entity's war crimes. So they are blaming TMU for playing a role in alleged Israeli war crimes. We're here to ask students at this university what they make of a vigil for Palestinian martyrs on October 7th, the day which is very solemn indeed. We want to see if they think this is in good faith. We want to ask them what October 7th means to them. And we also want to see if we can speak to some of these organizers here to better understand why they chose this day to honor Palestinian martyrs. Let's hear what students have to say.
Israel has completely destroyed the education in Gaza. Children are unable to go to school or have an education because they are Palestinian. Shame!
I don't think there's any Palestinian victims of October 7th. I think the real victims are the Israelis. 1,200 Israelis who were killed on the morning at 6:30 in the morning. I was in Israel last year. I saw it firsthand. I had to wake up at 6:40 because there was a rocket that landed a kilometer away from me. Put my life in danger. Innocent Israelis were kidnapped. There's still 120 hostages out there. I hope they're all freed. This is blatantly disrespectful to put on a day like this. Cannot believe it. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah.
What do you make of some of the scenes we've seen over the weekend at Yonge and Dundas, a very large protest for the Palestinian cause, and people, they've obviously picked this day to advance their message. What do you make of that?
I think today is a day to condemn what's been going on, not with any of this, but to see the true hate that's been brought to a day like this where we're supposed to remember our victims that have been killed, that have been taken hostage, that are still 120 in Gaza. Innocent Israelis woke up
being killed
in the
by
morning.
Israeli government, by the way. They're bombing their own hostages. Free Palestine!
Sure. Anyways, we have so much rockets being sent today to Israel. There's people who are just wanted to go visit their friends' graves today because they ended up dying on October 7th, and they had to, be sheltered from rockets all over their head. And it hurts me. It hurts me to see this. It hurts me to see this. Yeah.
This is not about October 7th only. Every casualty is a casualty. Every life lost is a life lost. And I am against life loss, any lives that are being lost. But the idea that one side gets to get away with thousands of lives lost, and the other side is still fighting to survive. Like, this is this right now is not about like comparing. This is about like how the past year we have lost kids, 50,000. I'm sorry if I get emotional, but just in the past year, it is not right for anyone on Israel's side to die as well. It's not right for any kid to lose their lives, but why is it okay for them to take ours?
What does October 7th mean to you?
October 7th means to me when the world finally started seeing the injustice and the genocide on Palestinians. That's what happened. That's what October 7th is to mean. When the world opened their eyes and we fight together for it.
Do you think the attacks in Israel last year were justified if it was to open the world's eyes on the genocide, as you say?
So you're basically asking me if a sovereign country has the right to attack another.
Well, yeah, I'm asking you specifically about that instance. Do you think that it was justified?
So I'm completely against a sovereign country like Israel attacking Lebanon and doing that unjustly, because that's a sovereign country. I'm completely against that.
And by the same token, Gaza, Hamas attacking Israel?
I don't know if it's supported by that same idea.
What do you make of a vigil here on October 7th for Palestinian martyrs, as they say?
It's kind of nasty.
You think it's in bad faith?
Yeah, it's a little bad faith. It's not the day. Take any other day, I don't really care, but today's not the day.
And why do you think they've decided to pick today to have a vigil for Palestinian martyrs?
I think we all know why. It's pretty obvious.
I think we all know why. Like it's they can't give us a day. I mean, today's a very hard day for the Jewish community. We're mourning right now, and despite the war, despite everything that's happening, like, it's a hard day, right? A lot of us have family, friends in Israel with bad things that happen, and I think for whatever reason, they don't want to give us an opportunity to just mourn. And so they come here and they do things like this.
They like to flip the switch. They like to tell little half-truths. There's a lot of hate built up, and until they start living for peace and living for their kids, it's not going to change.
I think this is possibly one of the most interesting displays of activism I've seen on campus, like during my tenure at TMU. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of really personal ways you connect to the entire issue going on right now through this vigil, for example, like, because it's just like writing down the names of the victims, but they're organized based on like the names and then also like their ages and stuff. It's also just a lot of like families, whole families that have been killed in this atrocity that I think you like get a different like sort of understanding of through this. You know, a lot of the names that I was writing down, they had a lot of like similar last names, and it just really shows just like the real like scale of this issue, you know?
And what does this day in particular mean to you? What does the anniversary of October 7th mean to you?
To me, I think it signals like the start to like some of the most like depraved acts I've like honestly ever seen, from like an ethno state, like trying to like just like Gaza and the West Bank and Palestine were already in apartheid state prior to this, and seeing literally like pretty much every single international criminal law get broken within the span of a year, this day is like a really haunting reminder of sort of when that stuff started.
Here's a very interesting thing taking place. A woman is speaking on the microphone, but they are blocking her from being seen, presumably by the public, but perhaps just from our cameras. They're blocking her from being seen. Why would you think that is? If it's a public protest, it's a public display, why would they want to block the person speaking? And they're going to try to block the camera as well. You would think that if you're speaking in public, you would want to be seen in public. But not these people. They are covering their faces, blocking their identities. They must be very confident in their cause, but they want to be blocked with keffiyehs and flags from being seen in public. Why do you think that is? Do you think that it's in good taste to do this on October 7th, the anniversary?
I think it's important that we recognize that asking inflammatory questions to get a response that is clearly geared towards one agenda is not objective journalism, right? And regarding this, I do think it's in good faith. Human life is precious, whether it's Israeli or Palestinian. But right now we're talking about over 7 decades of oppression of Palestinian people, recognized by Oxfam, UNICEF, United Nations, other arms. And if we do want a peaceful resolution, it is going to come from us asking and showing people that Palestinian life is also valuable, just as Israeli life is, just as a Canadian life is. That's all we're trying to do here.
Do you think it's in good taste on October 7th?
Yeah, I do.
You do? Why is that?
Because it was devastating what happened to the people.
On October 7th for the Palestinians or the Israelis?
I don't know too much about it, but I'm pretty sure a lot of Palestinians know.
All right, well, you were able to hear some opinions from students, some opinions of people involved in this vigil. As you can hear, they are chanting shame to Israel on October 7th. They say that October 7th marks 1 year of the genocide in Gaza. I would say that we were able to get a cross-section of Ryerson student opinion. I believe about half the people we spoke to said that they do believe this is in poor taste, that this is the wrong day to honor Palestinian martyrs and Palestinian victims. Of course, there are a lot of Palestinian victims, and that's a real shame. But October 7th is a day that 1,200 Israelis died. And so to do this seems in poor taste to me, I have to say. We also were able to speak to some people involved in the vigil. You heard what they had to say. There are protests planned across the city on this day. There are pro-Israel protests happening. There are more pro-Palestinian protests happening. The students who support the Palestinian cause at U of T are holding their own vigil for victims at 6 p.m. later today. And Israelis and Jews in Toronto are holding their own vigil for Jewish victims of October 7th as well later on in the day. But signing off from Ryerson University and not TMU, Ryerson University, Harrison Faulkner for True North.